Yo, what is up, guys? Welcome back to a brand new video on my channel. This today is the first video I am making, which is a big deal. Very interesting, very exciting. This channel is just purely going to be around price analysis, around markets, around Bitcoin, around assets, finding new assets, finding new altcoins that could be potential 10, 15, 20, 100x kind of potential. It's just all going to be around whatever I think is going to happen. So obviously, whatever I say, do not take as financial advice. This is completely my own opinion. I'm just here to share what I think, and hopefully you guys can find some interest in it, some confluence, and maybe even help you guys understand what's going to happen with the markets a little bit more. So let's get started. Bitcoin, as you can see, this is a price chart. We have broken through our all-time high as of recent, which is very good. This is kind of the zone we're working in. We're kind of bouncing around from around 73,000 all the way down to 62. It's an interesting zone. Why I've marked out this specific price movement and what I think is going to happen is because when you look back at the previous cycle, we're going to look back to around 2021 in January. This is a very similar price movement. So we come down, up, down, create a low, low, up, kind of get in the middle of the zone, come down, kind of at a second test, slightly higher low, which is really positive. And then we have a big push up, which obviously causes that next cycle top. Obviously, it went and pushed a little bit higher, but ignore that for now. What we're focusing on is this price action, how we have this push higher. One thing to kind of look out for is, if you see here, this is the last previous all-time high all the way back in 2017. You've got the big bear market. And then this zone up here is a lot higher than where we currently are in the market. If you think kind of where price is now, this is where we are. So this price is almost showing up in this zone kind of here, which is quite interesting. So either we're a lot further kind of forward in the cycle than we would expect to be, especially based on how these two things kind of coincide with each other. It kind of makes sense because when you think Bitcoin year after year has diminishing returns, we're not having as big percentage pushes as we previously were. So when we're coming out of the bear market to meet the all-time high, you get a very big, quick, easy push. Even when you look at this, it's a bit more drawn out. There's a kind of big kicks up, but it's nowhere near kind of that. That's more like a straight line, whereas this is, a bit back and forth, a bit back and forth. So again, what we're probably expecting is a similar sort of thing because the price patterns are matching. So I would expect, a bounce around and a push higher, exactly what we see here. If we kind of match a percentage returns to that, to the next kind of high there, I know that's talking 100%, which is nuts to think that we can even hit 100 times from this perspective here and this point. So, I would probably expect us to come to around, just call it 60%. So somewhere in probably this zone here is where I'd expect price to go to. So somewhere between 95 and 85,000. I wouldn't expect it to go much higher. I'd probably expect this to also be the top of the market. Just because, we've already pushed so high and there's so much already of an influx of cash. I know everyone's saying, oh, when BlackRock and when all this liquidity comes flooding in, I don't think it's going to come flooding in. If anything, they're already in the market. The only reason the ETFs are here is because they've been planning this for a long time. So I don't think there's going to be a big influx of liquidity and cash coming into the market as we probably think there is. Well, a couple of things to back up this point of why I think, we're going to accumulate in this zone a little bit further, then we're going to push higher. DXY. So we are rejecting off of this zone, as you can see. We'll probably come down to around here somewhere, because that is a constant point where we hit in the market. It is previous resistance, definitely more than support. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens when we come back to the zone. But as you can see, indicators show otherwise. Bitcoin is also showing otherwise. So I'd imagine in the next probably month or so, we're going to have a nice push up into the zone here, hopefully. One thing to kind of back up the point of why I think we're going to be bearish or a bit iffy in May, though, is because generally May in an election cycle year is bearish. April and May are typically very bearish. June, July, August is very, very bullish. So there might be a bit more chop around in the zone for now, but in the future, I'd be expecting, a very big push up in the next couple of months, and that's, and everyone's saying we're going to get this huge push up, but that will probably be the push up. How big that will be, we will see. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't. It's not going to come as high. Maybe it comes about here, or maybe it goes up here. Whatever. I've got my price targets. I've got where I think the market will go. And to be honest, again, Bitcoin, very limited upside at this point anyway. So I'm not solely focused on where Bitcoin's going to go. I mean, I need it obviously for the altcoin market. So even if we look at HBAR, for example, it hasn't exactly gone. I know we had the BlackRock news and then the push down after the bearish news that it wasn't real, even though it was. We're expecting this upside because we want Bitcoin to go, so our odds start going up and up and up. That is kind of what we're hoping on. I don't think it's so much a matter of how much money can we make off Bitcoin. It's how much can Bitcoin push the alt market further to get our percentages and price returns that we want out of the market. It's all well and good saying, oh, I can make 50% here, which to be honest is a really brilliant amount to make, but we're going to be looking for the 5, 6, 7, 8, 10 times in the market. If anything, all of the money you want to make, you want to be down here somewhere, even from that point there to now, nearly 300%. So you've lost all of the money you really want to make in Bitcoin already. So I would ignore trying to chase returns in Bitcoin. I would use it as an indication of how high price is going to go, and then I'd base it off that. One other thing is S&P 500. We kind of want to see what happens with this. It has taken a nice push off of this zone here because you've got what would have probably been a lot of stop losses from people who have entered down here, come up, or entered around this zone, come up. It's dropped back down. Maybe people have entered along here trying to catch the bottom. Maybe that was people catching the bottom that have had sell positions here. Hasn't happened. So what we can see is another big push up. You kind of had this push, 1, 2, 3, I guess. You might have a 4, 5, or you've got a 1, 2, 3, come into the zone, come down, maybe touch here and bounce back up, or we have a push lower to this. It seems there's a lot of buy orders around this zone here. Might have a push down, push back up. So there's a lot of confidence to kind of say, okay, in the long term, we see a big push higher from markets and a big push higher from Bitcoin itself and the altcoin market and everything in between. One thing we need to watch out for this week, we've got a lot of news, Fed press conferences, Fed interest rates. This is going to cause a lot of volatility in the market. So I don't know how much of a trading week this is really going to be, on whether it's worth jumping in and out. Unemployment rate. It's just there's a lot going on in this week. So I think we're going to have a very choppy market. It's going to be very hard to trade. So I would tend to maybe catch a bit on the news cycle here and there on the day, but otherwise sit tight, relax, let everything play out, see how things go, and then we go from there. But at this point in time, looking at that, you probably have a drop and a push higher, which, drop down to the zone, push higher, makes complete sense. So anyway, guys, that's the video. If you need any help with anything, please drop me a message. But yeah, that's my analysis. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.